Hi everyone, it's Marc here, and Happy New Year. It's early January 2020, and we're going into not only a new year, but also a new decade. And as I've been saying, this decade, I believe, is the decade of homegrown food, where we want to encourage everyone to grow their own food and to try to be a little bit more self-sufficient and eat from their own gardens. So my garden here is still producing a little bit. We've had a mild winter, and so things have been doing well. Not much frost, just a few frost days, and things like the kale that are behind me here are doing quite well. And we're going to go on a short tour of the garden. Haven't done one in a little while, so show you a little bit about what is actually still growing. So stay tuned and enjoy the tour. So, even though it's not a food related item, I thought I'd show you this camellia blossom that decided just a few weeks ago to actually open. The bud opened, and now we have this beautiful pink camellia blossom, which is definitely thinking it's spring when it really isn't, and it's still a ways off. It's nice to have in the garden, nice to have some color other than having vegetables everywhere. And then we've got our raspberry patch. I've just recently pruned it. I've got the canes down to a decent height, and now we're just waiting for the first buds to open, maybe in a month or two, and then generate some leaves, and then eventually, of course, raspberries. Sorry, for some reason the audio didn't record. I've instead provided a voiceover for the remaining videos. Here's a quick pan over the raised vegetable beds. As you can see, there's some stuff still in them. And I've also pruned my roses there in the middle, and they're ready for them to grow again in the early spring when things warm up. We'll have a closer look at the vegetable beds in a sec, but here are also my fruit trees, apple trees, pear trees, plum tree, and they're ready to be pruned and ready for a new harvest this year. And here are my strawberry in the strawberry crate, and they're looking a little sad right now. I need to trim them up a little bit. And then we've got a few extra planters of strawberries as well. Again, looking a little sad, but they just need a good trimming, and then they'll be ready once the weather warms up to grow more. Here's my daughter's raised vegetable bed, and she's excited to start growing stuff again in it. We've added some compost on top. Here in this corner we have some celery growing under cloches. It's basically survived about, I think, 3 or 4 winters now, and I'm growing it as a perennial, and the cloches are just to protect it from hard freezes, as it tends to die away completely. And in the back of this bed we also have some Egyptian walking onions, which is also another perennial. This empty bed here actually held all of our beans last year in summer, and it's just sort of sitting dormant until we're ready to plant new stuff this coming spring and summer. And this is one of the beds that has stuff still growing in it. Green onions, a subscribe sign, kale, some cabbage that has seen better days and probably just needs to be composted. We've got some kohlrabi still, a couple of plants that just seem to have survived. And we also have some other plants here. I believe these are still some cabbages. That one's looking a little bit better than all the others. And then in the second bed that has quite a bit still growing in it, we have daikon radish. We'll go a little closer to have a look at it. There it is. It's growing. And then, sorry about that cable. And then we've got some parsnips in there that we have to have a dig through and see how big they've gotten. A bit of a sad looking Swiss chard plant. And then we also have celery and some remaining carrots, which still have some greens on them. And then we've got our leek patch, and the leeks haven't been really getting very thick, as you can see. Some are pretty narrow, small still, but baby leeks are actually a prized delicacy, so we kind of are lucky in that sense, and we'll be harvesting more of these for our winter dinners. We've got a few herbs in pots still outside that are hardy enough to survive. We've got oregano here in front, and then we've got some chives here. They've completely died down, but will start growing again once the weather warms up. And then we've got some more herbs in pots, some parsley I will leave, and then we've got some mint and some lemon balm. They've had their dead stems from last year cut down, and now are just waiting again for the warm weather to start putting on more growth. You can see some leaves are there already. And it started to rain, so we headed over into the greenhouse where it's nice and dry. We've got a bin of lettuce growing right now. That one's been basically giving us a bit of greens for our sandwiches and wraps. So it's kind of nice to have that in the depths of winter. Another little experiment that I tried is planting lettuce in this tiered hanger. They're getting a little bit leggy because they don't get enough sunlight, it looks like, and but we have harvested from there. And then we've got some strawberry plants as well. I'll probably convert this one over to just strawberries and have another place for growing strawberries away from the slugs, things that like to eat strawberries. We also have a rosemary plant in the greenhouse. I know some people do leave their rosemary plants outdoors all year through, but I've had one die on me, so I just want to make sure that this one survives, and it also keeps it contained by being in a pot and keeps it from getting too big and too humongous. And then in this raised bed in the greenhouse, we still have a tomato plant, and it still has one big green tomato. It probably won't ripen on the vine, so I may have to pick it and just leave it in the kitchen to ripen on the counter. But it seems to be doing okay, and I'll try just giving it a good prune before spring and see if we actually get something coming. There's a celery at the bottom of it, and then there's a sad looking pepper plant that I think has bit the dust, but again I can try pruning it. There's another pepper plant that seems to be doing much better. That one has green healthy leaves and will hopefully survive. I've also moved some broccoli plants into the greenhouse to see if I can kind of force them to put on a head of broccoli now. And then here in the corner we've got a celery plant that's doing well too. And we've got one other pepper plant that I did prune. It's looking a little sad, but hopefully it'll put on some new growth once it warms up. And then I have this trio of 3 eggplants, and they seem to be doing okay. They're surviving the winter in the greenhouse, and we'll see what happens in the spring once again the weather warms up. They do have some new growth coming. There it is. So hopefully we'll start seeing some decent growth, and again we'll have eggplants. I'll probably move them outside once it warms up in May so that they get properly pollinated. They don't like being in the greenhouse all summer. And finally, we've got a corner dedicated to storing all of our flowers, our geraniums mainly. They don't survive the winter outdoors if it freezes, so I moved all the pots indoors. That's the reason why I grow them in pots. And so this corner's got all the geraniums in it and a fuchsia plant, and so they'll survive, and then we'll put them outside in spring to make room for more vegetables. Alright, so that was a tour, and sorry again for the audio problems. Technology is always fun to deal with, and so the voiceover was the only way I could do it without having to re-record all that video. So hopefully next time things will go a little more smoothly. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the tour, and to see what is still going on in the garden and in the greenhouse here. It's really windy, and the rain has stopped, but it's now getting windy. So we have that kind of problem, I guess, in wintertime here, is that we get a lot of rain, we get a lot of wind. Garden is really soggy right now, so I'm trying not to do too much work in it or even walk around in it. And so really now is a time to plan out the garden for this coming year, and see what we're going to plant, where we're going to plant it, spacing it out and all that. And I will soon have a workshop on how to actually plan your garden. It'll be a live online workshop. And so if you haven't already, subscribe to my email list. The link will be below. And you'll be notified when that course is available. And if you want to be notified of when the next video comes out on this channel here, make sure you subscribe, and also hit that bell icon to be notified once the new videos are available. I'm going to try to do another tour in a few months once things actually start taking off, things start growing. But maybe I'll do a little bit of video too here in the greenhouse of how things are going with my seeding, which I'll be starting fairly soon, especially for the cool season vegetables, and then later we'll do the warmer season vegetables. So thank you for watching, and make sure to like the video if you'd like to see more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.